It's over forever. Janelle Brown finally got married. Kody Brown is crying. Sister Wives Season 19. Janelle Brown has finally tied the knot, leaving Kody Brown in tears. After being single for quite some time, Janelle has found love again and is now happily married. This joyous news comes after her long journey of independence following her split from Kody. For years after the divorce, Janelle was on her own, navigating life without the support of her former husband. Loneliness was a significant challenge for Janelle, and it took time for her to heal and rediscover her sense of self. Being alone after years in a plural marriage was undoubtedly difficult, but Janelle stayed strong, focusing on her personal growth. She embraced new experiences and made her family a priority. Despite the hardships, she never gave up on the idea of finding happiness and love again. Now, Janelle has found the man who makes her heart soar, and they've committed to each other in marriage. Her journey from loneliness to love is truly inspiring, showing that new beginnings are always possible. While Kody may be upset, Janelle's happiness shines through, and her new chapter is just beginning. Kody Brown, star of Sister Wives, is spiraling into a web of negativity as he points fingers at his ex-wives for the breakdown of their once strong plural marriages. When Sister Wives debuted in 2010, Kody was happily married to Meri Brown, Janelle Brown, and Kody Brown. The family appeared to be thriving, embracing the complexities of plural marriage and working together to maintain a cohesive unit. However, things started to change after Kody welcomed a fourth wife, Robyn Brown, into the family. His attitude shifted, and it became apparent that Robyn held a special place in his heart, causing tensions to slowly rise within the household. Initially, the family functioned as a unified group, celebrating milestones like weddings, births, and new beginnings. Even though Kody clearly favored Robyn, the wives continued to work hard to ensure the family stayed connected. But in recent years, this delicate balance began to unravel. Kody started spending the majority of his time with Robyn, neglecting his relationships with his other wives. His bond with his children also deteriorated, and he seemed uninterested in repairing these connections, instead focusing only on his own desires. Kody's decision to prioritize Robyn over his other wives and children led to a slow but steady disintegration of his marriages. For years, Kody seemed oblivious to the consequences of his actions, convinced that his neglect wouldn't have lasting effects. However, he soon faced reality when Kody, Janelle, and Meri each chose to leave him within a span of 13 months. Despite the clear reasons behind their departures, Kody has refused to accept any accountability, blaming his ex-wives for tearing their family apart. In the early seasons of Sister Wives, the show emphasized the independence that plural marriage provided to Kody's wives. Even though Kody was the head of the family, each wife had autonomy and control over her own household. The show portrayed the dynamic as challenging yet rewarding, with each wife balancing her personal needs with the demands of their unconventional family structure. During these times, Kody struggled to keep up with the demands of managing multiple households, appearing overwhelmed and frazzled at times, but the family functioned as a unit. However, cracks started to form as Kody became more emotionally distant from his other wives. His focus shifted almost entirely to Robyn, leaving Meri, Janelle, and Kody feeling unsupported and neglected. The plural marriage, once a source of strength for the family, became a burden that none of the other wives were willing to bear any longer. As Kody continued to prioritize Robyn's happiness, his other marriages crumbled. The fallout has left Kody in denial, unable to recognize his role in the destruction of the family. Rather than taking responsibility for his behavior, he continues to cast blame on his ex-wives, accusing them of breaking apart the family unit that once seemed so strong. While Kody may not realize it, his refusal to acknowledge his mistakes is only deepening the divide between him and his former wives, as well as his children. His unwillingness to repair these relationships is a stark contrast to the man who once prided himself on being the glue that held his plural family together. As Kody spirals further into negativity, it remains unclear if he will ever take accountability for his actions or attempt to rebuild the relationships he has so carelessly discarded. For now, Kody remains focused on himself, blind to the consequences of his choices. Meanwhile, his ex-wives are moving on, building new lives away from the shadow of their failed marriages with Kody. As sister wives progressed, Kody Brown's perspective on his family began to shift, revealing a more authoritarian approach that was increasingly unsettling to his wives. Kody, once seen as the husband and father trying to balance the needs of his plural family, started demanding respect without always earning it. He grew frustrated and bitter as he felt his control slipping, and he began openly discussing his desire to build his family on a patriarchal foundation. This newfound ideology was deeply concerning to his wives, who had never agreed to live under patriarchal rule and valued the autonomy and independence they had built within the family structure. Kody's love for his family was evident, but over time, his need for attention began to overshadow that love. His growing desire to be the focal point of his large family became apparent, and it affected the dynamics of his relationships. Kody began to view polygamy not just as a lifestyle, but as a means to gain power and admiration. To him, the more wives and children he had, the more adoration he expected in return. His idea of plural marriage became less about maintaining balanced relationships and more about boosting his ego. Kody's need for constant validation and attention grew more pronounced over time, and it took a toll on his family. When he wasn't the center of attention, Kody often appeared disinterested in what was going on around him, failing to provide emotional support to his wives and children. This attitude drove a wedge between him and his wives, leading them to feel neglected and undervalued. The turning point came when Kody's behavior became intolerable for his wives. His insistence on enforcing a patriarchal structure, one that none of his wives had signed up for, further alienated them. Rather than working to repair the damage, Kody continued to focus on himself, pushing his wives further away. His need for control and admiration clashed with the independence his wives had long valued, causing irreparable fractures in the family. In the end, Kody's inability to maintain balanced relationships and his growing thirst for power contributed to the breakdown of his marriages. His wives, who once worked hard to make plural marriage successful, found themselves at odds with Kody's demands for respect and attention. As a result, they chose to leave, seeking lives where their voices and feelings were valued, leaving Kody to face the consequences of his actions. Kody's inability to maintain balanced relationships and his growing thirst for power contributed to the breakdown of his marriages. His wives, who once worked hard to make plural marriage successful, found themselves at odds with Kody's demands for respect and attention. As a result, they chose to leave, seeking lives where their voices and feelings were valued, leaving Kody to face the consequences of his actions.